Welcome back to the ATA's Segment Steward Training online sessions, Introduction to Stewardship Volume 2. This series is intended to provide basic training to Arizona Trail Association volunteers who want to get started working as stewards on the AZT, but may not have the opportunity to attend an in-person training in the short term. If you haven't watched the first video in the series, see the link in the description below and start there. That's going to give you a good basis on which to build for this second session. I hope you'll remember my face and voice from the first video. My name is Wendy Loetz and I'm the ATA's Volunteer Program Manager. I want to thank you again for all the effort and energy that you put into the organization and into the trail. We literally couldn't pull any of this off without people just like you. Our first video is concentrated on the stewardship agreement itself, the structure of the Arizona Trail Association, and training opportunities available to our stewards. For this video, we're going to go into a few critical nuts and bolts type topics. These are things that to some people may seem secondary to digging out rocks or trimming back vegetation. Those are the things you might really want to do, but these are some of the things that we need from you most. We're going to talk about reporting your volunteer hours, what to report, and how to log those hours on the volunteer webpage. Get used to hearing about this from me a lot. It's really critically important. Also, we'll talk about the ATA event calendar, where you can find it and how you can use it to get logged into volunteer opportunities or find volunteers to help you with your passage. We just can't overstate the incredible value of documenting your volunteer time for the ATA. While we appreciate your time on the ground, in the dirt, and at the booth, when you report that time, you amplify the positive effect of your contribution. Many organizations are easily able to track volunteer time because the efforts take place in a facility or under the supervision of their staff. However, it's the nature of our work to encourage remote projects, individual contributions, and independent volunteerism. As a result, we're completely dependent upon you to let us know how much time you're spending helping us out. The financial future of the ATA is entirely reliant on this documentation. Each hour you spend helping is worth over $25 when we calculate match for grants or federal funding. It also helps us to negotiate with our federal partners who have a mandate to increase volunteer engagement and time in their operations. Whether it's working on the trail, answering user questions, or reading emails from the ATA, all of your time becomes powerful leverage both financially and as a contributing partner to our land managers. So what exactly counts towards these volunteer hours? Everything you do as a steward that benefits the trail counts. So that means not only the physical work that you do on the trail, but also your travel time to and from the trailhead or training site, and time you might spend on the trail trying to reach the area you're working on. Time you spend in training, including this video, as well as time you spend reading or sending emails or other communications with me, trail users, and with other volunteers. It counts even if you're just checking your passage and don't find anything wrong, but do let us know that you checked anyway. It counts if you're leaving out water in caches or offering through hikers shuttles. That's considered trail angel volunteering. It counts even if it's something you would have done for fun anyways, or if you had a great time doing it. And it especially counts if it was something that felt like a chore. So I get it, Wendy. It's important. Just tell me how to do it. Okay, simple. I've created a short walkthrough video to take you through it. This video is available as a standalone tutorial in case you ever need to come back to it. The link to the video and the volunteer portal are on our website under Resources for AZT Stewards. I've linked to that in the description below. So I'm going to go over quickly how to navigate to the volunteer portal from the main ATA website. From the main page, there's a couple different links that'll get you there. The easiest one, though, is to come up here to where it says Volunteer, the green button, and hit that. You'll see you're at the main volunteer page, and if you scroll down, you'll see that there is a link to check out volunteer opportunities or submit your volunteer hours. Both of these links actually go to the same place, and so once we get there, we'll see that we're now at the main volunteer portal. The second way, and the way that I use most often, because I visit here so often, is that I just go up into my bookmarks bar or address bar. It depends on which browser you're using and just type in volunteer.aztrail.org. As you can see, I use it quite often, and so it's auto-filled for me, but that'll take you straight there as well. I think it's a good idea to make this a bookmark so that you can come straight here in the future and record your hours with one less step. It's important to note when you're going to log into the volunteer portal that your login information for the AZ Trail membership website might be different than your login information for the volunteer portal. These are maintained separately, and the passwords currently aren't linked to one another. We'd like to get there someday, but we're just not quite there yet. So I always recommend that people make their username and password the same for both. That way it's easier to remember. However, if you have any problems with your membership login, it may or may not affect the login here on your volunteer website. To log in, you just enter your login information and password. And then I recommend that you click the little box underneath that says Remember Me. This means that you won't have to log in every time you revisit, just every time your cookies reset in your browser. So here I've logged into the portal under the username for my dog, Lilo Loads. She's had a little bit of volunteer experience out there on the trail, slinging dirt along with the rest of us. She wants to record some of her most recent hours. So in order to do that, she's going to come up here where you'll see her initials in a circle and a little down arrow. Click on that and you'll see a link to track hours. That opens up this page. The top of the page, you'll see a summary of volunteer hours entered during the date range given here. You can actually change this date range if you want to see everything that's entered in a certain time period. You can choose whatever dates work for you, and you will see what hours are recorded for that time period. Just below that, you'll see where you actually begin to enter new hours. The first question is hour type. Are these hours in reference to a need responded to on this site? This is asking if this is part of an opportunity that you signed up for here on the site. In this case, I'm going to say no. This is something that I just went out and did on my own. And we did this. We're going to go ahead and say on the 8th of June. And that we were out, including travel time. Remember, that's all counted. So we were out for about 6 hours, 4 hours of work and an hour of driving each way. Miles traveled is something that we don't actually track here at the ATA. This is something that's for your own benefit as a volunteer. If you're the kind of person who keeps track of your mileage for your taxes and deducts it from your tax return at the end of the year because it is charitable donation, you can track it here. However, it isn't something that's important to us, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it blank. Individual details, none of these are required, and so we're just going to go ahead and leave that empty for today. We don't need that kind of detail. And we're just going to say that we did some passage monitoring on passage 2, as it was a beautiful day. We're going to, this is the +1 hours. This is where you would enter hours for somebody else, and we'll go over that in just a minute. For now, we're just going to enter our own hours. Select the segment of trail that the hours pertain to. Here again, we said we were out on the Canelo Hills, passage 2. This is important because it helps us to make sure that those hours get to the correct land manager when we're taking credit at the end of the year. And then type of activity, the kind of activity you performed. And again, we were monitoring the trail on this particular activity. Remember that going out, having fun, making some notes about the condition of the trail, that's considered volunteerism when you report it to us. So we want to make sure that you're taking credit for those hours as well. And just click Submit Hours Entry. And you'll see it now appear here on the volunteer hours summary. This time we're going to record some hours that Lilo did with a group of her friends. It was her birthday, and for her birthday, she asked her friends to go out and do some trail maintenance. She had done some monitoring, she found some problems, and so she and her friends went out to fix some drainage. Her friends aren't regular Arizona Trail volunteers, but she wants to make sure that the ATA gets credit for the time that they contributed. So today we're going to scroll down here. We're going to say once again that this was actually not a part of an opportunity that we had already signed up for because it was sort of an ad hoc, at the moment kind of thing to do. We went out actually on Saturday, June 13th. And the entire group, again, we traveled for an hour each way, so that's 2 hours plus 4 hours of work. So once again, we had 6 hours of volunteer time. I'm going to say fixing drainage with my friends for my birthday. This level of detail isn't necessary, but it can help you maybe keep track as you go back and look at your hours in the past. Now we're going to look at this +1 hours. Did you volunteer with one or more people who don't have a Connectin account? This time, yes, I actually had 2 of my good friends come along with me, and just friends is enough of a note. And now we will get credit for their hours as well as the higher count of volunteers, rather than just me adding that number of hours to my own account. Again, we're going to select our passage as passage 2, our activity as this time we're doing trail maintenance because we actually did some work, and we'll submit the hours entry. So now you'll see I only get credit for that 6 hours, but when we go through and do the general hours collection for that passage, we'll now see 6 times 3, so we'll actually have 18 hours. Pretty slick. There's one more thing that you might want to record hours for, and that is for an opportunity that you signed up for on the volunteer portal. So that would be something like a Trail Skills Institute or a work party on the Happy Jack, where you actually went in and you RSVP'd through the system. To record those hours, you can come down to our type and actually just select the name of the opportunity. Here, I've RSVP'd for Passage 2, Steward Monitoring and Maintenance. Again, we're going to pick our date and our number of hours, our brief description, and we're going to skip the +1 hours. Here, this just automatically sends it into the information, even though the response date is different from the date that we actually worked. For ongoing opportunities, that's just fine. So again, we're going to select the passage that it pertains to and the activity that we performed and submit hours entry. That simple. Now that you know how to record them, there's no better way to rack up the hours and gain experience as a trail steward than by attending volunteer events on other passages. They're fun, you get to meet lots of amazing people who share your passion for trails, and you get to know other parts of the AZT that perhaps you weren't familiar with already. While the volunteer portal has some good tools for finding upcoming events, I find that I prefer checking the calendar that we keep on the main webpage. This is where we list all of the events hosted by the Arizona Trail Association, including not only volunteer work, but also running and participatory events, festivals like AZ Trail Day, movie screenings, informational talks, and community activities such as AZ Trail in a Day. Seeing it all in one place gives you the best idea of what a vibrant group the ATA really is. To navigate to the event calendar on the AZ Trail website, you click on the Events tab and you'll see Calendar as the first option. Click on that and it will open up a link to a Google Calendar that has all of our upcoming activities listed on it. To get more information about a particular activity, you can click on it and click See More Details. This will open up a calendar entry, and very frequently there'll be a link in this calendar entry to where you could register for a volunteer event, for example. As you become more comfortable in your duties as steward, I encourage you to help us populate this calendar with great volunteer opportunities and work events. Even if you're not looking to recruit new volunteers or host a bunch of people working out on your passage, this calendar is another way that we demonstrate to land managers, politicians, donors, and communities how active we are as an organization and how hard our members work to give back to our public lands and trails. If you'd like to announce something on the calendar, or if you have any questions about what might be a good fit for posting here, please don't hesitate to send me an email, text, or phone call. One of my goals is to have this calendar so heavy with cool goings-on that it gets tough to squeeze it all in such a tiny space. And speaking of squeezing it all in, thanks for taking the time to sit through another video with me. Now I'm working up one with more information for you, including monitoring your segment, what to report and why, and some helpful hints for communicating with trail users aimed specifically at our stewards. So until the next time, stay safe and have fun on the trail.